Hi, I'm Dr. Robert Cohen. Today I'm going to show you how you can improve your timing on the SAT and ACT. So any section that you're having timing difficulties on, the first thing to do is to take the total amount of time for that section and divide it by the total number of questions in that section. That's going to give you the average time you should spend on each question, per question, give or take a little bit. Now, as one caveat, some sections the questions increase in order of difficulty. SAT Math, SAT Writing, and ACT Math. So on these sections, the first questions are easier and the later questions are more difficult. So for these sections, you want to spend a little bit less time than the average time per question on those first questions, and you'll leave a little more time to spend on those later questions. But on the whole, you want to shoot for, in general, being around that average amount of time per question. What you can do is you can start working with individual questions on their own and trying to solve them within the time limit. So take one question. If the average amount of time per question is 1 minute 20 seconds, try and solve that within 1 minute and 20 seconds. Then try another one. And do this until you get to the point where you kind of feel comfortable with solving within 1 minute and 20 seconds. Then move on to the whole section or larger parts of the section. And as you work through a whole section, you can glance at the clock occasionally to see where you are and to see if you're following that time limit. When you're working through a whole section, you want to avoid getting stuck on any one problem. So if you see that you're spending significantly more time than you normally would on any given question, it's time to move on. And you really have to be good about making yourself move on after too much time has elapsed. So if you have 1 minute 20 seconds per question and you've hit 1 minute 50 seconds and you're just absolutely not getting anywhere, then it's time to move on. You can always come back to those questions if there's time left at the end of the section. And remember, it's important to mention that timing is a function of clock management, but it's also a function of your command of the material and the test. So, the more practice you do, the better you're going to get at either the SAT or ACT. And the better you get, the more quickly you'll be able to get through the questions, the more quickly you'll recognize what the questions are testing and the common patterns. So again, this is why practice is so important. Now here's the thing: the more as you practice, you'll start to get a natural sense of the timing. So you'll get a natural sense of how much time you have on a question, when you've run over that time limit as you work on the question, and you'll have a natural sense of when time is almost up on the test. It's just like if you get up at a fixed time. Let's say you get up at 5:30 every morning. After a while you start to wake up at 5:30, you're ready to go, you're anticipating waking up. Similar on these tests. After doing a lot of sections timed, you really do develop a sort of natural feeling for the amount of time you have on that section while you're taking it. The result means that you don't have to look at the clock so much. And this is a really good thing, because if you're kind of obsessing over the clock, if you're checking every couple of minutes how much time you have left, that takes up a whole lot of mental energy. You're thinking about the time. It takes up time because you have to constantly stop and look at the clock and then get back to the problem. And it takes up a lot of mental energy because you're thinking about the clock, you're anticipating it, you're more worried about it. So that can actually really hinder your performance on the test. And this is why doing a lot of timed practice and developing this sort of natural sense of timing is really effective, because it's going to save you a lot of anxiety, a lot of time, and a lot of mental energy that you want to be able to devote to just the problems. Now, that said, if you're someone who you you've tried both ways and you know that you absolutely do your best by watching the clock really closely and constantly checking it, then by all means do that. That's great. And then you should do that, and you should test and see what works better for you. But very often people's scores will improve just by watching the clock a little bit less, by relaxing more and working off this more kind of organically developed sense of time. You can often boost your performance. If you found this video helpful, please like it, share it, or subscribe to the channel, all of which will help me find more people looking for this type of content. Thanks.